To be honest, they're not that spectacular. When I think of good CG effects, I think of something that either looks realistic like Gollum or the Headless Horseman, or something stylized like Sin City or Across the Universe. Here, I can always tell it's computers. Sometimes there's models, but it's mostly computers. But, let's be honest, yeah, it does look a lot more realistic. Granted, I never really thought the creatures were there in the new one, but then again, I really never thought they were there in the original. I guess that's not really the idea of either film, though. We're not there to admire the effects are there to help the story. We don't have to believe the characters are really there, we just have to feel what they're going through. And both films do a very good job of that. But it is sort of obvious who the winner is, isn't it? The newer version. Though I still really admire the original for its creativity. And in my opinion, they're still pretty damn impressive. Point goes to the new.
Well, there's a good reason.
And now we come down to the eighth wonder of the world himself. Which one had the better Kong? Which one did you feel more sorry for, and which one had more heart and soul? I don't know, but I don't think either of them can compare to Amy. Nobody was more compassionate and heartfelt than her.
Tickle me.
Ew. Now for me, this is the hardest part, because I really like both Kongs. And again, you'd think it's an effects thing, but it's really not. It's just that they're both really well portrayed. They both have a big heart and both fall in love with our main lead, but there are definitely some major differences. In the original, Kong is much more animalistic. The way he moves and the way he acts is much more like an actual ape. Okay, the movements aren't quite as realistic, but the actions are. Look at the scene where he's trying to get this guy. You can see the wheels in his head are turning as he's trying to figure out how to nab him. This Kong also has a very blank expression. You can't always tell when he's happy or sad. Again, much like a real animal. In fact, the way a lot of these creatures move seems very animalistic. Again, it's not totally realistic, but you sense the survival techniques these creatures have. They react like predators who will stop at nothing until they stomp their prey. Because of this, they're a lot more threatening and a lot more unpredictable. The remake is a little different. They actually model Kong after a real actor, Andy Serkis, so you can very easily tell what emotion he's feeling at the time. For no dialogue, they get across a lot with this character, and you really get the idea about what he's going through whenever he's on screen. In a sense, they sort of develop him a little bit more, and make him a little bit more humanistic. The only downside is that it's not very animal-like. Not that animals don't feel anything, I know they do, but they're creatures of instinct first. Plus, when you look at an animal, it's very hard to figure out what they're feeling or thinking. That's why so many of them are unpredictable. Because of this, it's the blank expressions of the original Kong that I surprisingly have more emotion for. He just seems much more like a creature that was stolen from his natural environment. I guess it's because we don't know what he's thinking, and he's probably not super smart, that we feel even more sorry for him. Look at that naive, dumbass smile. I feel so sorry for that chimp even before the bad things happen to him. And again, the new one is very good, but it seems a little bit more like a performance than an actual animal. It moves more like an animal, but doesn't act as much as an animal. And even though I feel sorry for him, I feel more sorry for the original. He just seems more helpless to me in some way. And in the end, you're always going to feel more sorry for the more helpless creature. Point goes to the old.
What are you, a Bolshevik or something?
Once again, the big deciding point is story. Which one told the tale of ape meets girl better? This is best story. Both of these films have very similar stories, but the newer one seems to go into a lot more detail. In the original, everything is sort of vague, which I guess is the idea, surrounding everything about the adventure and mystery. In the new one, though, we get a lot more background. We see the deciding point for when the director goes to the island, we see Darrow's job before she tags along with him, and we spend quite a bit of time on the boat before we even get to the giant ape. Too long! I became so fucking sick of this boat and these damn people on it. I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to hold themselves to that rule of Jaws where you wait an hour to show the monster, but this is way too fucking long. And half the people on the ship aren't that interesting anyway, so you're just kind of stuck there. I mean, who's gonna entertain me? Adrian Brody? Look, I love Gene the pianist, but you are boring! The original was much quicker and to the point. There was certainly build-up, but not to the point where it got annoying and tedious. However, in the new one, we do get a better connection between Darrow and Kong. There's actually quite a few silent moments where you really see them make sort of a strange connection together. In the original, it's a bit more primal. It's a little bit more harsh and cold. The newer one seems to have a lot more heart than the original, but even that seems to go a little too far. Like when she visits him in the city. Okay, I know she's trying to tame him and keep him under control, but then they go ice skating. That's just weird. How can I take that seriously? It's Kong on ice. I keep expecting Mickey Mouse to pop up at any moment. Plus, there's just some all-around strange scenes in the new one. Like how about when the director tells the writer exactly where they're going? This is one of the oddest things ever. It's totally over the top for no reason.
It has a local name, but I'm warning you, Jack, it doesn't sound good. They call it
Skull? Skull? You mean like that thing in my head? My God. Skull.
Oh, no.
Skull!
Santa Maria!
Skull! No! No! This can't be a secret any longer! The people must know! Skull! 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 Skull!
It's a cookbook! It's a cookbook!
So yeah, there's quite a few over-the-top scenes like that. But to be fair, there's a lot of over-the-top scenes in the original too. But here's the difference. The original was made in the 30s, at a time when this was not considered that corny. This was made just a few years ago, and the corny scenes were corny even then. Like how about that guy who falls in slow-mo where everyone else moves regularly? Why was his fall such a big deal? Was he the director's brother or something? How about some of those quirky, over-the-top performances?
Mr. Driscoll, if you don't mind me saying, but you don't look at all like your photograph. You see, I was just afraid that you might be one of those self-obsessed literary types. You know, the Tweety twerp with his nose in this book and his head up his hat.
Or how about that cutting frames trick that's never been fucking cool? Little stuff like that really adds up in the long run. And even though there's a lot of really good things about the newer version, the original just tells the story better. There's no tricks, no avant-garde or artsy way of showing things, it's just the straightforward story. So when everything is added up, it really does seem like that the original King Kong is the superior film. Point goes to the old, the better movie. So that's my old versus new on King Kong. Stay tuned next week when I review Drop Dead Fred. That's a movie so bad it'll make you flip out of your skull. Oh, I said skull. I'm a Nostlgia Critic. I remember it so you don't have to.
It's a cookbook! It's a cookbook!
Crazy black man been here.